What's up, travelers? SummationKid back again. In this video, we're going to do a comparison between Lyney and Yelan, the current limited time 5-star event characters. So first we'll do a quick overview and demonstration of their toolkits. After that, we'll talk a bit about what teammates go well with them and various things you can do with their elemental skills, especially in the case of Yelan. And then I will give you the final verdict, my recommendation for which character a new player should go for. So let's jump right in. So the way that Lyney works, it's not too complicated. There's a lot of, parts to his toolkit, but once you break it down, it's really not too complicated. So mostly what you're going to be doing is using his charged attacks, his level 2 charged attacks. So this will spawn this little cat in the hat thing, which will taunt enemies, and it will also have a fixed HP and a fixed duration. Or rather, the HP isn't fixed, it's based on Lyney's max HP. And every time you do this, so every time you use a level 2 charged attack, in addition to spawning the cat, it will also give you a stack of prop surplus. So if you see that tube beside Lyney, that's your stacks of prop surplus. And it will also drain his HP. So every time you use his level 2 charge attack, it will drain his HP. That's why his HP is like 10k out of 17, even though I never got hit. But it will only drain up to 20% and until he's at 60%. So right now I'm about 60%. So even if I do a level 2 charge attack, it doesn't drain more HP. It still gives you the cat, but it doesn't give you any more stacks of prop surplus. So with Lyney, you will want external healing. So I'm going to use Cookie to heal him. And now, doing the level 2 charge attack again will give you more stacks. It will also drain your HP, but you're getting healed, so that's good. And you can have a maximum of 5 stacks. And what these stacks do is they make your elemental skill do more damage. So let me just use it right now with the full 5 stacks.
And voila.
Right there. So actually, let me just, I'll wait for my skill to come up again, and then I'll use it again, and you'll see that it does less damage than it did the first time. So the first time, I think it was 26,000. Oh, he's spinning. Okay.
Now disappear.
Yeah, so the stacks that you get from using his level 2 charge attack, it makes his skill do a lot more damage. So you do want to get those stacks, which means you do want external healing on Lyney. Oh, and I guess I should show you guys his ultimate too. So his ultimate doesn't do a whole lot. It's really fun though.
Let's get this show on the road.
Turns him into this big cat, and every time you touch an enemy, you will do damage, and then at the end it'll explode. So what you want to do with his ultimate is you just want to, if you're fighting one big thing, you just want to use it as soon as you touch it, because you don't do much after that. So let me just do that again. Yeah, so if you use his ultimate, as soon as you touch something, you do damage. You explode at the end of it, do more damage, but beyond that, nothing much to it. So you just want to, if you're fighting one thing, you just want to end it prematurely. Oh, so I didn't charge his charge attack to level 2 that first time there. Oh, and I'm not getting more stacks because I don't have healing. So yeah, Lyney, if you want to use him to his full potential, you really need some kind of external healing. And then use a skill, boom.
Right up.
Okay, so now let's do Yelan. So Yelan is a lot simpler than Lyney, as you're about to see. So starting off, I guess we'll talk about her special charge attack. So if you just saw her wrist glow up, so those bracelets on her right hand, right wrist, so that's called her breakthrough barb state. And when she's in this state, the first charge attack she uses will be very fast. It'll charge up very fast, and it will do area damage. Like that. So the subsequent charge attacks will be normal. They'll be normal charge attacks like any other character. And that will come back, so that breakthrough barb state comes back every 5 seconds as long as you're out of combat. If you're in combat, the only way to get it back is by hitting things with her elemental skill.
Busted.
So there, see, her bracelet's glowing again, so you can use her special charged attack again. And then her, I guess, most important part of her kit is her elemental burst. So this will summon a sort of dice beside your character, a die, and it will attack whenever you attack. So whenever you do normal attacks, the dice will also do its own attack. So she's a lot like, in that way, she's a lot like Xingqiu, the 4-star Hydro Sword character from Liyue. Actually, a lot of people call her a 5-star Xingqiu, but in my opinion, she's a bit better just because of the utility that her elemental skill provides. So it's not just doing damage. It also makes her run fast, which is really useful for exploring the overworld, and I'm terrible at dodging. So like I said before, Yelan's elemental skill is also very useful outside of combat. To demonstrate what I mean, we'll open the map. So we're here at this teleport point, and oftentimes when you do commissions in Mondstadt, one of them is going to be at Dawn Winery, and it takes a while to get there. It's not, it's not right beside any teleportable point. This is probably the closest point. It looks like the Statue of Seven, but it's not. So here, if you have Yelan as well as Sayu, right? So Sayu, the 4-star Anemo character, what you can do is use their elemental skills right after each other to get to Dawn Winery. So we'll just ignore those guys. So you use Yelan's skill, and then you switch to Sayu, and then you use her skill. And then whenever you want, when Sayu's about to end, you switch back to Yelan, and you can get to Dawn Winery pretty fast, Actually, I didn't even use the full duration on their skills. But to demonstrate, I'll run there normally with Yelan, and you'll see the difference. One other thing to note is that when you are running, quote-unquote running, with their elemental skills, you don't use stamina. So see, Yelan is out of stamina, so she needs to walk instead of run the rest of the way. So having her elemental skill, along with Sayu's, especially along with Sayu's, is extremely useful. And actually, when you get to Constellation 1, so I don't have any constellations, but if you get to Constellation 1, her elemental skill gets an additional charge, which means you can use it kind of back to back. And since it lasts 3 seconds, and the cooldown is something like 10 seconds, then you only really have 4 seconds of downtime. And then you can use Sayu to fill that downtime as well. So we'll just take a look here. This isn't supposed to be a Sayu video, but her skill will actually last 10 seconds, which is exactly what Yelan's cooldown is. So it's a pretty perfect combination for exploring the overworld. Now, while you can put Lyney into any team you want, he does work best if he has both a healer and 2 other pyro characters. So Bennett and Xiangling are very ideal for this, because Bennett provides a whole lot of healing. He also increases your attack. So his burst will provide you with healing and increase your attack at the same time. So that's really useful for Lyney. And Xiangling will give you a lot of off-field pyro damage. So her Pyronado and I guess to an extent Guoba, they'll do a lot of area damage. Sorry, did I say pyro damage? I meant area damage, yeah. So Lyney's attacks, his charged attack is mostly single target. His burst and skill sort of do area damage, but they're not that reliable. You can't use them all the time. So you do want some area damage to go with Lyney. So that's pretty much it. You need a healer and you need 2 other pyro characters. And the reason you need 2 other pyro characters is because of this. So they will give you an additional 40% more damage, right? So here it's 20% per additional character. That's the same element as him, and it goes up to 100. You start with 60, so 60 plus 20 times 2 equals 100. That's your cap. So you want to have at least 2 other pyro characters with Lyney, and if they're not healers, then you want a healer. Or even if one of them is a healer, like Bennett, you can just put in another one, like Kuki Shinobu, or maybe Barbara, or someone like that. So Yelan is a lot more generalist than Lyney. She doesn't really have that many strict requirements on who her teammates are. The only talent she has related to teammates is this one, turn control. So this will increase Yelan's max HP based on how many different elements are in your party, right? Up to 4. And and I guess I didn't mention this earlier, but Yelan scales off of her HP. So what this means is that her attacks will do more damage the more HP she has, right? So if you see here, skill damage, it's based on her max HP. Whereas most characters, like Ayaka, for example, her skills will scale based on attack. So her skills do more damage based on how much attack she has, rather than HP, like specified here. And the reason this is important is that, well, obviously, if she has more HP, she does more damage, right? So that's the purpose of this talent. But I wouldn't treat this as something that you have to go for. Treat this more as kind of icing on the cake, right? It's kind of a nice boost, but it's not something that you have to fulfill. Like my party, for example, this is my overworld party for exploration, and I have 3 different elements, right? I didn't bother going for 4 because Animo Resonance is more important to me, since it is an exploration party, right? So this is super helpful for exploration. You can see why. And as for which teammates Yelan works best for combat-wise, you'll want characters that do damage with their normal attacks, like Hu Tao. So I have Yelan in my Hu Tao team. This is kind of a scuffed team. I don't have Zhongli, so I'm using Tank Fei instead. So that's Yen Fei with a shield. She gets a shield at Constellation 4. But anyway, Yelan functions quite like Xingqiu here. And I just have both of them because why not? But normally you will pair one of these with Hu Tao, and you can do the same thing with Yoimiya or Ayaka, for example. So Ayaka's normal attacks will do cryo damage, and if you pair that with Yelan, whose dice activates on normal attacks, then you can keep things kind of frozen forever, right? So that's how I kind of use Yelan. But you can use her however you want. It's not really she's not really a character with any real teammate requirements. Pretty much anyone who benefits from off-field hydro damage will benefit from having Yelan in their team. So I think that's about it. I don't think there's much left that needs to be covered, especially from the perspective of a new player. Right, my final recommendation, if you are indifferent between these characters, right, if you like one of them more than the other, then I always say go for the one you like, regardless of what I or anyone else says about how quote-unquote good either character is. Just go for the one you like. But if you are indifferent between these 2 characters, Yelan and Lyney, then I would lean a bit more towards Yelan if you're a new player. And the reason is because of this lingering lifeline. This is actually the reason that I got her in the first place. Pretty much every location, nearly every location on the map you'd want to go to is within that distance from a teleport waypoint, right? So like, let's say if we want to go here, you have teleport waypoints around these areas, and if you just teleport here, you can pretty much get to wherever you need to go to, right? So start with Yelan's skill, then when it runs out, switch to Sayu, and then Sayu's skill will last pretty long. I think it lasts something like 10 seconds. So it's a pretty long time. And then you go back to Yelan. Oh, okay, something spawned. So we traveled from here all the way to here. Right, so that's, yeah, you can get from there, you can get from any teleport point to where we are, just using Yelan's skill, Sayu's skill, and then Yelan's skill. And the best thing is, it doesn't even cost any stamina. So as you can see, my stamina bar is still full. Let's get rid of these guys. So yeah, that's why I think you should pick Yelan. She has a very useful elemental skill. However, she is a character who is... I need that raw meat. She's somewhat less involved. So if you want a character who kind of works from the shadows and supports your main damage dealing character, then Yelan is your girl. But if you want a character who is on the field all the time and kind of at the center of the action, and a lot more involved to play and perhaps a bit more complicated, then go with Lyney. Unlike with most banners, I wouldn't say that one character here is significantly better than the other, although Lyney is brand new, so we don't really know as much about him as we do about Yelan. And I guess I should go over some alternatives. So Yelan's alternative is Xingqiu. We talked about him. His burst creates rain swords, and they attack as your on-field character does normal attacks, similar to Yelan. As for Lyney, his alternatives aren't really clear. I would say probably Ganyu and Tainari are the closest ones. I'd say Lyney is pretty much better than Tainari in almost every way, except cases where you need Dendro. Ganyu is a little bit more complicated, so Ganyu does better area damage, and I would say based on the trial characters so far, Lyney seems to do better single target damage, especially if you have a healer with you. So that's it for this video, folks. If you have any questions, if you think I missed anything, any thoughts to share, be sure to leave a comment and I'll get back to you right away or whenever I can. But for now, I will see you folks in the next video.